I'm Cressida Cowell, and I am the author and the illustrator of the How to Train Dragon books and the Wizards of Once series. I wrote and illustrated all of those books, and I'm here in my writing shed at the bottom of my garden where I wrote and illustrated all the How to Train Dragon books and all the Wizards of Once books. But it's just a little shed at the bottom of my garden, and I've got all sorts of books in the shed and inspiration, dragons. I'm here today to talk to you about Empathy Day, because today is Empathy Day. So welcome to Empathy Day, and I'm going to be talking about why empathy is very important to me, and people later on are going to be talking about why it's important to them. I can hear from lots of young people about why empathy is so important. Why is empathy so important? I think of it, empathy, as a magical power. And this is why I make one of the heroes of my books. This is the Wizards of Once books. One of my heroes, Wish, has this magical eye behind that eye patch. And with this magical eye, she has a magical power of seeing into other people's hearts, into other people's minds, and knowing what it's like to be them. And that's sort of what empathy is. It's about how you can look inside somebody else's mind and sort of think about how it might be to be them. Some people call it walking around in somebody else's shoes. And books are really, really good at that, because when you read a book, you're sort of getting inside somebody else's head, and you can get inside the head of somebody who may be very far away from you in time or in space, or maybe very different from you. That's why one of the reasons that I love reading so much. Walking in someone else's shoes. How does this tie into feeling of empathy? How is it that that walking in somebody else's shoes gives you a different perspective to view the world? This year's programme is the biggest ever for Empathy Day Live, and it's bursting at the seams with amazing authors. So there are 3 former children's laureates who are going to be talking, and the 2 current ones, which is me, and I've already said Eloise Williams, the children's laureate for Wales, is going to be talking. The programme for today's Empathy Day is split into 3 key calls to action. Read, connect and act, with activities focusing on each stage. And we've been asked to share our own empathy resolution. So that's to give yourself a resolution to make for the day. And I want you to be thinking about empathy, but also thinking about your resolution, what you might want to do for Empathy Day. So we'd like all of you to make and share your empathy resolutions, and think about, once you've thought about what it might be like to be in their shoes, what then does it make you do? Does it make you feel more sympathetic and more understanding? So instead of getting all cross, maybe you start thinking, well, I do understand why they did whatever they did. We'll find out. So thank you everyone for taking part today, and I'd like to hand over to Leah and Tarnid from Pentrahafod School in Swansea. I'm very interested to hear what they think about empathy.
Welcome to Empathy Day 2021.
My name is Jason.
And I'm Tahmid.
My name's Leah.
And I'm Amelia, and we're from Pentrahafod School.
Empathy to me is really listening to someone through their experiences and their difficult times that they've been through, and really listening to someone else and putting myself into their shoes.
Empathy is a really important skill to have. It involves listening deeply to other people and understanding other people's emotions. This is why our school works with our local community. For example, we work with our library to help connect with other parts of our community.
Empathy to me is putting myself in someone else's shoes, just to realize the pain and suffering that they might be going through.
It's also about talking about our own feelings and developing a pro-social attitude, which is why we support lots of charities with our school.
I believe empathy can improve the world and, more importantly, improve the lives of pupils in schools. If schools taught more about empathy, children, before bullying some student, they would think and put themselves in that position, see how it would feel if they were treated that way.
Empathy is incredibly important, especially in a time like this. We're all coming out of lockdown and a global pandemic, and we're all suffering different consequences, and we're all in different situations. For example, students are anxious about their exams, teachers are stressed, and parents are worried.
To me, empathy means perspective taking. At the moment, taking the perspective of someone who might be suffering from mental health is really important. People have had to miss out on so many special occasions with their families and friends, like birthdays, weddings, and funerals. So that's why I think that taking their perspective might be essential at a time like this.
We also asked other students in schools what empathy meant to them.
So now we'll hear from other pupils in other places about why empathy is important.
Hi, I love reading, as you can tell from the bookshelf behind me. I read a lot about empathy, and you use empathy in everyday life, from school to home. What I've learned about empathy is that it's not just about how you think, it's about what you do and how you use it in your life. If everyone just had a little bit of empathy for someone else, the world would be 100 times better than it already is.
For me, empathy means to put yourself in other people's shoes and feel how they're feeling. When you put yourself in other people's shoes, you can see how they're feeling and you can help them if they're not feeling okay. I think it's important to put yourself in somebody else's shoes because then you could have a different perspective for them. For example, if they are struggling on something and you can notice their confusion from probably their face or what they were doing with maybe their hands, you could help them in something that they struggle to find out.
Empathy means to me when you understand something that's happened in someone's lives, you understand what they felt and you want to help them as well.
Because you can feel how other people's feeling and go through what they're going through.
I like reading lots. I especially like books with empathy in because it's important to be kind and thoughtful to somebody. It's good if they're kind and thoughtful back, but it's also good to spread it to others so then everyone becomes kind and thoughtful to make the world a better place.
I think it's important to empathise with people because if we didn't, you'd care about yourself and the whole world would be selfish. And say if you had a president that cared about himself, then the nation would be a failing community.
To me, empathy means when you feel emotional, not to yourself, or not for yourself only, but for other people. For example, if somebody has died or they're going through some pain, you could feel sad for them.
When we were younger, we had empathy, but we never knew it was an actual thing.
We know that everyone can improve their empathy from reading books to talking to people. Because this week is Empathy Day, we think that you should spend just some time thinking about empathy and how you can be more empathetic to people around you.
If everyone has empathy, it'll make the world a better place.